Morning, we're on Micah chapter 4, reading from verse 12 to 13. I'm just going to start at verse 11. And we know that Jerusalem gets taken out, but there's a time when God stands by Jerusalem. And when Jesus comes and he reigns from Jerusalem, he protects his people. And even now nations rage against them, but God will protect them. But as we know, they turned away from God, so God allowed these foreign nations to come in and destroy them. But it says in verse 11, "And how many nations have been assembled against you," that's against Jerusalem, against God's people, "who say, let her be polluted, and let our eyes gloat over Zion." Verse 12, "But they do not know the thoughts of the Lord, and they do not understand his purposes. For he has gathered them like sheaves to the threshing floor." And so he gathered, if you think of that last battle of Armageddon, the nations come and they gather. And in one word, he destroys. And so they're going to be destroyed. They don't realize that when they attack God's people, and when they come against Israel, they're coming against God. Verse 13, "Arise and thresh, daughter of Zion. For your horn I will make iron, and your hooves I will make bronze." And so he uses a figure of speech of this big, whether it's an ox with an iron horn, very powerful, hooves bronze. It says that you may pulverize many peoples, that you may devote to the Lord their unjust gain, and their wealth to the Lord of all the earth. And there's many cross references, but I'm just going to read from Zechariah 12. "On that day I'll make Jerusalem a heavy stone for all the peoples. All who lift it will surely hurt themselves, and all the nations of the earth will gather against it. On that day, declares the Lord, I will strike every horse with panic." They'll come against that iron horn, "and its rider with madness. And for the sake of the house of Judah, I will keep my eyes open when I strike every horse of the peoples with blindness." That's chapter 12. And jumping to chapter 14, verse 12. "And this shall be the plague with which the Lord will strike all the peoples that wage war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they are still standing on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets, and their tongues will rot in their mouths." And so there's a day when God will take vengeance and judgment on those nations that come against Israel. And so we need to stand with God today. Let's not be those who oppose his work, oppose his people. Let's be those who stand with him. Amen.